What it is, everybody who might be here or might not. Waiting to see people in the chat. My camera is not working today. I had to restart my computer to get my Bluetooth working, and then it didn't sync up with my camera. So my regular camera is not on. We have a different one today. So sorry about the technical difficulties. We're just going to have to live with them. I'm going to be playing you guys videos anyway. Going to hear from Nick Fuentes today. Going to hear from some Jews in Israel today about how they feel about the suffering of Palestinian children. Going to maybe read to you from Marjorie Taylor Greene today. We have a lot of news. Canada has jumped on board with recognizing Palestine as a state. We're about to have tariffs, which I think might not be that good if we really go through with them. So we're about to actually go through with tariffs as of tomorrow, supposedly for real this time, which I think genuinely could cause inflation, genuinely. It might not actually be a win for us. So we still haven't seen the full effect of the full tariff war that Donald Trump is thinking of waging, and we're going to see the beginning of it tomorrow, I guess. Every single time so far that there was going to be tariffs, I'm getting into the news too fast. I'll let you guys tune in. Welcome to the show. Oh, I used to play music. I guess I could play a little bit of that. We used to play something like this. And a little bit better. Welcome in the chat. Hey, Laurentius, how are you? Laurentius says you shared it too. That's great. We got news today. I got some different clips. There's also big news in the Hillary Clinton Russiagate front. Some trove of documents has been released. A trove of documents, one of which seems to truly reveal that Hillary Rodham Clinton did start the Russiagate hoax. So I'll have to show you that for sure. And that was brought up in the press conference today by Carolyn Levitt. What's up, Edgar? What's up, Adaptable? How are you guys doing today? So yes, now it seems like it's coming kind of late. Honestly. Like this genocide thing, they don't like you to call it that. But this genocide thing, it's been going on for a while. And it's been kind of obvious for a while. And it seems like it's taken some reporting and some pictures coming out of starving children for people to finally wake up and pay attention to what's actually going on. But this ethnic cleansing that they've been trying to do in Gaza, and that they talk about openly of doing, has been going on kind of for some time, ever since the October 7th thing. And then the October 7th thing, there is some news out about that today. Some Israeli soldiers confirming that there was a stand down order that morning, that they were told not to patrol their posts. So I'll have to show you that for sure. Then we have news from the digital ID front. There are a lot of things going on. The UK, or maybe Europe, has a new hate speech thing where a new censorship regime where American companies can get fined for having hate speech on their platforms. So that's going on. There's another thing where YouTube is tracking user behavior to see if they think you're over 18 or not. And if you're not, then they make you have to upload ID, or you're going to have to use ID to use some services in Europe. Anyway, the reason I brought that up is on the medical front, we're going digital. So I'll show you that. And there's some video I haven't even watched yet. There's some video showing the beauty of this digital medical system that's coming on board. So there is some digital medical system that we're getting behind, along with people like OpenAI and stuff. I'll show you that. And then we brought back the presidential physical fitness test. I don't know if you guys remember that or not. The presidential physical fitness test is coming back. There was an announcement about that today with Triple H. And by the way, there's a Netflix series now about the WWE behind the scenes with Triple H and something they call the Gorilla Room. So I don't know if I'll talk about it. I just been watching it on Netflix. So anyway, that's what's in the news. I'll play you the clips. We'll have some fun together. We'll spend some time together. You can always drop your coffees anytime by going to the link that's on the screen. buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. I'll promote that a few times. You can buy t-shirts, truthclothing.io. Let me turn off the music, play my intro, and then I'll start showing you guys some videos and stuff. Then we'll just get into the news. All right, let's see. Let's play this. Okay, cue musical intro. Boy, that's brilliant. I do think some things in the world are real. Like you guys. You guys are real. Most of you. Most of my listeners, I think, are not just in my head. I think I have the metrics to prove it. You've taken a leap of faith today. What is that sound? And I apologize if you take offense. I'm a little offended myself. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the future. What it is, joining you live from sunny California. It's a beautiful day today. I'm your host, Nathan Stoltman. And I bring you the news, the real news. Yes. We are in a war right now. We're in an AI war, by the way. We have declared that. We're becoming an AI factory in the United States. That's kind of like the Manhattan Project, except like everybody knows about it. We're building data centers and we're spending like all money everywhere is being spent on AI and energy. So these are the things that are happening in the world right now. In the United States, we need to dominate at AI. We are on a war footing. We're removing regulations that make it harder to build data centers. And I think I told you that Zuckerberg is building a data center bigger than Manhattan, which runs on like 5 gigawatts. And I'm kind of concerned that energy is going to become more expensive because of this, because of how much energy AI uses. So we are in an AI race. We have an AI president who's aware of that. We have a guy named David Sachs in the White House who's the AI and crypto czar. So that is what's happening right now. So we're going digital with medicine. So let me show you the announcement. I haven't even watched it yet. Hopefully it's interesting. We're partnering with OpenAI, Apple, Anthropic, Amazon, Microsoft AI, and Google. So let's look at this.
With today's announcement, we take a major step to bring healthcare into the digital age, something that is absolutely vital. You got to do it. Moving from clipboards and fax machines into a new era of convenience, profitability, and speed, and frankly, better health for people. Under the leadership of Administrator Oz, we're officially launching the CMS Digital Health Tech ecosystem to give healthcare providers, insurers, and software companies the tools they need to empower Americans with a 21st century experience on health. The key breakthrough we've made is getting many of the biggest names in the healthcare and technology to agree to industry-wide standards for electronic medical records. All of those great companies that you just heard have gotten together with this group of very brilliant people. I don't know who's more brilliant, them or them. I don't know. Could be them. I hate to tell you. It could very well be them. But I don't know. I'm going to take my team. But the key breakthrough we've made is getting many of the biggest names in healthcare and technology to agree to that those standards of electronic medical records that we talk about and you've heard about for so many years, and now it's happening. This will allow patients to easily transmit information from one doctor to another, even if they're different networks and using different record keeping systems. No matter what system they use, they're all transferable. The new standards will also make it simple for patients to access their own personal health records. I don't want to see mine, please. I don't want to see. I don't know about you. They have all sorts of things, sir. They can tell you exactly what your problem is going to be in 6 years. We can do it. You know, they have all these different things. I don't know if they work or not, but I didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear it. If I got a problem, I don't want to know about it right now. But it is amazing what they're doing. I don't know. Does it actually work? Can they do that? All right. Well, then I'm glad I said I don't want to know. But thanks to this announcement, healthcare providers across the country will also finally be able to kill the clipboard. It's an expression that's used, capital, with a capital C, kill the clipboard. Instead of filling out the same tedious paperwork at every medical appointment, patients will simply be able to grant their doctors access to their records at the push of a button, just a button, and you're all set, and all the information the doctor needs will be immediately transmitted. The system will be entirely opt-in, and there will be no centralized government-run database, which everyone is always concerned about. I'm less concerned than anybody. I say whatever it is, it is. But people are very, very concerned about the personal records. They want to keep them very quiet, and that's their choice. I think it's a great thing because it'll be absolutely quiet. Instead, doctors and patients will always remain in control. The benefits to millions of Americans will be enormous. We will save time, we will save money, and most importantly, we'll save lives. It's just going to make people live longer and be a lot healthier. I think that's really what you're looking to do. And now,
There you go. So lots of people are scared about that. I don't know. I don't like filling out. You have to show up early to the doctor and fill out all those forms. So I assume that makes it easier. Like you don't have to fill out the forms. And you always have to tell them your allergies every time. You always have to tell them your previous surgeries every time. It makes sense. And they use fax machines. They literally still use fax machines for transmitting records to health insurance companies and everything else. They're actually still using fax machines because that's the system they're still on. So I don't know that I'm totally opposed to it. I mean, we have to go to something that's a little bit more advanced. But people are going to be worried that their digital records are going to get compromised in some way. And then eventually RFK Jr. wants us all to have smartwatches and stuff to monitor our health. And then they're going to give us, but they say AI is going to solve all diseases within like 2 years. I mean, that's what some people say. I don't know how. It has to learn biology first. But they say AI might be able to solve all diseases, and then they're going to track you with your smart device, monitor your health, tell you exactly what to do, and then extend lifespans like to twice as long. So you have to be willing to live a long time. So that's what they're talking about. And then there's a promotional video, I guess, that was put out by the government. I haven't watched it yet. We're going to watch together. So this is an idea about what it's supposed to look like.
Imagine scanning a QR code at your doctor's office and instantly sharing your medical history, just like when you board a flight. Imagine having an AI assistant that knows your care plan and helps you manage medications with confidence. Picture patients truly at the center of their care, building stronger relationships with providers who can focus on healing instead of on paperwork, freed from the administrative burden that technology should have solved years ago. That's not science fiction. That's what healthcare can and should look like. We're finally at a moment where real progress is possible. CMS, under Administrator Oz's leadership, understands both the urgency and the opportunity. CMS is building the core infrastructure, a national healthcare directory, secure data access, and modernized systems. But the future of healthcare technology can't come only from the government. The apps, services, and tools that make this data useful in people's lives must come from you, the private sector. We're creating the space for new ideas to rise so better solutions can compete, scale, and help real people like Morgan. Step into this space with us. This isn't just a showcase, it's a national sign of acceleration. It's about action. We're asking real companies to make real commitments, to build data sharing networks, to create apps that deliver real health outcomes, to help us kill the clipboard and give people a healthcare system that's smart and secure. Let's stop waiting, and let's definitely stop faxing. Let's start building. The right data at the right time can mean the difference between loss and hope. The time is now. Are you in?
There you
Produced
go.
by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
So that's from that's from RFK directly, basically. People said that sounds like Roseanne. So that's the story. You guys have to decide whether you're for it or against it. It is modernizing technology, modernizing healthcare, killing the fax machine. But they have been using a fax machine to transmit data. And if you go to the doctor a lot, it is annoying to transfer records from one doctor to another. They have to request them, and then they have to get them sent over, whatever, and then they have to go through literal pieces of paper. So I'm ambivalent about it. I'm sure it could be hacked. I'm sure they're trying to centralize everything and, pull us into the digital future, but that's what it is. So, and they're working with OpenAI, Google, who else? Apple, Anthropic, Amazon, Microsoft. So that's the story on healthcare. Okay. All right. Now let me give you some of the stuff. So Canada says that they're a backing statehood for Palestine. This is good. Now we'll get into the Palestine stuff. Show you this. Canada says they're going to back statehood for Palestine. That's going to be all of our allies. We're going to be the last one standing. And basically the Republican Party, because the Democrats now have voted against providing military aid in the Senate. The majority of Democrats voted against giving military aid to Gaza. Finally, military aid to Israel. Finally. So Donald J. Trump put on Truth Social, wow, Canada has just announced that it is backing statehood for Palestine. That will make it very hard for us to make a trade deal with them. Oh, Canada. So he's basing his trade deals, everything in this administration, I mean, pretty much has to do with people also supporting Israel. Pretty much. Like if people don't support Israel, then we don't like them. Our government, that is, and specifically Donald Trump. Donald Trump also said something apparently to a donor. Apparently, he said to a Jewish donor that MAGA is starting to hate Israel. That's being reported multiple places. And definitely younger people. But they're saying that MAGA is starting to hate Israel. Marjorie Taylor Greene wrote a long post. I don't know if I can't read you the whole thing. Because it's this long. But she has said that it's a genocide in Gaza. She does say that they're starving children. She says, yesterday I spoke to a Christian pastor from Gaza. There are children starving, and Christians have been killed and injured, as well as many innocent people. If you are an American Christian, this should be absolutely unacceptable to you. Just as we said that Hamas killing and kidnapping innocent people on October 7th is absolutely unacceptable. Are innocent Israeli lives more valuable than innocent Palestinian and Christian lives? And why should America continue funding this? The secular government of nuclear-armed Israel has proven that they are beyond capable of dealing with their enemies and are capable of and are in the process of systematically cleansing them from the land. So she's talking about genocide, ethnic cleansing. We are beyond fed up with being told that we have to fix the world's problems, pay for the world's problems, and fight all the world's wars while Americans are struggling to survive even though they work every day. And many of us, even though we are Christians, no longer want to fund and fight nuclear-armed secular Israel's wars, especially when it leads to starving children and killing innocent people, including Christians. Yet, of course, we are against radical Islamic terrorism, but we are also against genocide. All right, and listen to this. I'll play this. This is from a podcast. I'll jump to that first. This is from a podcast in Israel, just showing how Jews in Israel feel about starving Palestinians.
Doing it
to appease the.
is because we're looking for international legitimacy. No one actually gives a shit. Zero people in Israel. If you go up to them and you're like, do you care if this baby in Gaza gets polio? They'll be like, I don't fucking just.
Yeah, if Oppenheimer would care.
Yeah, okay. There'll be like 20 people who care, and they're all wearing Meretz shirts. Like, fuck them. But seriously, nobody would give a shit. They'd be like, leave me alone, man. I'm trying to like buy
Eat ice
shit
cream
for Shabbat. Like, fuck off. I don't care about this Gazan kid with polio.
Also, as long as they're in their Nakba state in their tents, and we're living still, like, if you put aside the news, day to day is okay. Yesterday we went to a concert. In Elkon Park. We had lots of fun. Me and my girlfriend, Shalom Chanoch. We danced, and it was amazing. And you can't help but think, like, it's nice to know that you're dancing in a concert while hundreds of thousands of Gazans are,
homeless,
like sitting in a tent and eating.
Makes it even better.
Yeah,
more enjoyable concert. If only they put the
live video
footage of Gaza. Like, but seriously, you guys, like, that's what people don't understand. Look, like, I know that you guys might be appalled by this, some of the listeners, but seriously, this is how Israelis feel. And you might think that Eitan Weinstein and Naor, who like refuses to kind of back me up on it publicly.
I'm from the UN.
Yeah, he's the UN. But you might think I'm extreme. But I have conversations with lots of people, coworkers, friends. People enjoy knowing that they are suffering.
No, also it's very prominent on Twitter.
There you go. So that's from a very popular podcast from Israel. So that's the truth. That's how they really feel. And there are a lot of American Jews, I think, who feel that way too. Or they think it's fake. They either think it's fake, they think it's staged. There was some kind of issue with a picture coming out of the New York Times of an emaciated child that apparently had some kind of developmental problem. And they had to say, oh, well, it looked like a starving child, but it wasn't a regular starving child. It was someone with some kind of sickness who just looked worse than usual. But still, it was a starving, sick person. So anyway, that's how they feel in Israel, according to this podcast, which is a very popular podcast in Israel, from what I understand. So that's news. Canada's coming out for it. You saw what our State Department says. So here is Nick Fuentes talking about it. Talking about how the whole world is turned on Israel and we're the only ones left. And how it's proof that they operate basically because of our support. It's all allowed to happen because of U.S. support. I'll play you a couple minutes from this.
If the entire world is against Israel, and it is, if the entire world is against Israel's war, and it is, Almost every country in the General Assembly voted against Israel's war. And now even countries like France and the United Kingdom are calling for the war to end. They're going so far as to recognize Palestine. If in America, the majority of the people are against the war, then that means the world's population, the billion Muslims, the people in the Middle East, the people in China and in Russia, the people in Europe and the United States, if the whole world is against Israel and the whole world is against the war and they vote against it in the UN and they do an arms embargo and they revise their trade relations and their leaders speak out, but the war keeps going, what does that tell you about the world? What does that tell you about the world and who runs it? All the countries in the Middle East are against it, but they will not lift a finger to stop it. Every single country, even Israel's allies, Egypt and Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Iran, Syria and Lebanon, Iraq, every country in the Middle East is against this war. They cannot, will not lift a finger to interfere and stop it. Russia and China, the rival superpowers, they are against the war too. Cannot and will not lift a finger to stop it. They're unwilling, they're unable. Increasingly, all the countries in Europe are against the war, some more than others. And the people in the United States. But the war goes on. Why? Because the United States is backing them. Because the most powerful country in the world by far is backing the war unconditionally. And that support for the war is insulated and immune from domestic political pressure. No matter how much people hate it, no matter how much people are against it, no matter how unpopular it is, the U.S. government will support it under Biden, under Trump. We are holding back every Middle Eastern country from interfering. We are holding back Russia and China from maybe negotiating a solution. We are using our influence to stop Europe from criticizing the war. Israel runs America. America runs the world.
There, that's it. It's true. At least as far as our foreign policy goes. We are basically a satellite of Israel, as far as I can tell. And no matter how much people hate Israel, no matter how much public opinion turns on them, our foreign policy doesn't change. We support Israel. We're going to bring some food in there, apparently, because Melania probably convinced Trump that there were starving kids. That's probably what happened. She was like, oh, look at this. There are starving kids. You got to do something about that, because that's usually what happens. And it was like, oh, we got to get food in there. But that's not enough. You got to stop the ethnic cleansing. But he doesn't want to do that. I'm pretty convinced. And the Republicans don't want to do that either. So we might have some kind of reckoning. That guy Mamdani in New York City, at least he's on the right side as far as the Israel conflict goes. People are going to like him more because of that. Democrats are starting to come around to Nick Fuentes, because Nick Fuentes is anti-Trump, finally, because Trump is pro-Israel. So Democrats are starting to listen to Nick Fuentes too, and they're starting to realize we have an issue. Jewish power in America, Jewish influence on politics, people with dual loyalty that basically support what Israel is doing. I mean, all that there is like Bernie Sanders, who doesn't support it. So I'll play you some clips of Bernie Sanders, and they did a vote in the Senate. Every single Republican voted for us to keep sending them arms. Every single one. It was only the Democrats who voted, a majority of them, to stop sending aid to Israel, but every single Republican in the Senate wants it to keep happening. They've already destroyed Gaza. They've relocated all the citizens. So if you want to support the show, go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil or buy one of our t-shirts at truthclothing.io. If you drop me a coffee, I'll read it before the end of the show. It's a great way to support the show because Google doesn't take any of it, but I take super chats too. That's fine. Appreciate anybody who gives me support. $5 goes a long way for me. I appreciate it. I spend some time getting some video stuff together for you guys every day so I can bring you a show. All right, here is, so this guy, Tony Aguilar, he's the guy, he's been on all the podcasts now. So he went on Tucker's show, did a very long podcast. The guys from Breaking Point, I think it's called. Crystal Ball and the other guy, they had him on. I think I played a clip from him yesterday. This is Bernie Sanders playing his clip. So this is the clip going around. And Israel is saying this guy is like faking his credentials or something. Special forces, long military history, went over there as part of the joint mission to give food and has given his testimony. So this is what Bernie Sanders posted of his.
So the reason for me wanting to come forward and share this story is apolitical. The distribution method, the delivery of aid, is not being done in line with American values.
20 Palestinians were killed
while trying to get to food aid distribution sites.
My name is Tony Aguilar. I'm a retired Lieutenant Colonel Green Beret from service in the United States Army. I served for a career of 25 years. I've deployed to Iraq, Afghanistan, in combat operations and numerous other operational deployments. So I spent a considerable amount of time in Gaza during my 45 days in Israel. I was under a contract by UG Solutions, which is the security apparatus under the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. I felt it was a noble cause. I felt it was a good mission to feed the people of Gaza. So I did sign up and go on the contract. The IDF gave us, SRS, UG, they gave us our marching orders. They told us which sites we would deliver from, when we would deliver, how much aid we would deliver, how much time we would stay on the site to deliver, what type of aid we would deliver. The IDF controlled and directed every aspect of the delivery of aid. From the very first day, distribution at Site 1 has been chaotic, pandemonium. The best way that I can describe how the Palestinians reach the site to receive aid is akin to the Hunger Games, survival of the fittest. Whomever can run the fastest and the furthest to get to the site first gets the aid. So those that are typically left with receiving no aid, no food, no type of aid are children, women, disabled. The sites themselves, in terms of the process for having the Palestinians leave the distribution site, was done through shooting at them, hitting them with pepper spray and tear gas, firing rubber bullets from shotguns at them. And this isn't something that happened just once or twice. This happened every day at every distribution, at every site. This is not hyperbole. This is not Hamas propaganda. This is not Gaza Ministry of Health saying it. It's me. I've seen it. The contractors on one occasion, on the 29th of May at site number 4, opened fire with his individually assigned weapon into the crowd, at their feet, over their heads, and into the crowd. As he did this, he celebrated what he was doing and he yelled, "Woohoo!" Then another contractor who was standing next to me said, "I think you got one." The contractor that was shooting then replied, "Hell yeah, boy." I took the video. I was there. I saw it. I watched it happen. The contractor that said, "Damn, I think you got one, man," was referring to a Palestinian man that fell to the ground and never got up. It's within my assessment that he was dead. And another incident on the 2nd of June at distribution site number 1, which is in the south in Rafah, I witnessed a UG contractor throw a stun grenade into the crowd. The metal fuse top of the stun grenade hit a Palestinian woman in the head, and she immediately dropped to the ground, lifeless and motionless. A donkey cart was brought onto the site to load her onto the donkey cart to remove her from the site at the direction of the SRS operational leadership. She was dead. This happened on the site. On the 28th of May, we submitted a report to the leadership of UGS and Safe Reach Solutions that site number 3 in particular was dangerous and that people would die if changes were not made. Those changes were not made. And on the 16th of July, 20 people died.
20 Palestinians were killed Wednesday morning at its food distribution site in Khan Yunis.
Palestinians, human beings, trampled to death on a site that we could have prevented. Those deaths are on us as Americans. We're complicit in that. In the dozens of distributions that I was a part of at every site, not one time ever did I feel a threat, assess a threat, see a threat, never saw a weapon, never saw a gun. The fire, the actual small arms fire that we received on the locations at times came from the IDF in our location. The entire city of Rafah has been razed to the ground, so there is no civilian population around the sites. They have to travel 8 to 12 kilometers one way, on foot, no vehicles. Most of them don't have shoes, poorly clothed. They haven't eaten, they're starving. There is no water that's distributed in the humanitarian aid. And to get there, they have to walk through an active war zone. On 2 occasions, I bore witness to a Palestinian man in one instance and a Palestinian woman in a second instance that were carrying their dead children. And these children didn't die from gunshot wounds or from sickness or disease. They died of starvation. I've seen it with my own eyes. I witnessed it on the ground in Gaza. Americans don't set up food to a starving population and have them walk through a war zone just to then shoot at them and hit them with stun grenades and pepper spray and then send them on their way. That's not the American way. That isn't in line with American values. After 25 years of service, when I hung up my uniform, I didn't hang up my oath. And my oath is to the Constitution and to the values of this country. Not to a president, not to a Congress, not to a company, but to this country. And I think most Americans would agree with that. The distribution itself is not feeding the population of Gaza. In fact, we are starving them because we are providing them with so little. The mechanism in place right now does not work. It is my job to make sure that the American people know this, because our tax dollars are going to this. Your tax dollars, U.S. taxpayers, are funding this. When I was hired on the 14th of May, signed my contract, that was supposed to run through the 21st of August. On the 14th of June, at that point, I had witnessed indiscriminate shooting, inappropriate use of force, dereliction from the leadership. I brought each circumstance to the leadership with a recommendation and solution on how we could address this. I was committed to seeing this succeed. When the leadership ignored it, that was my red line. That crossed my moral threshold of what I could put up with. And I left. I terminated my contract and I came home.
There you go. So that's the guy going around. And basically the Israelis are saying he's like fake news. They're trying to discredit him right now. So, but he's doing the interview circuit and seems to be legit. So, and witnessed a lot of stuff. Like I said, he was on Tucker. He was on with a few other people. That was Peter Welch, U.S. Senator for Vermont. That's weird. It was shared from Bernie Sanders' page. I have Bernie Sanders making a plea too. I guess I don't need to play that. But that's what's going on. That's what's going on in Gaza. That's what people are hearing about. And then they're seeing pictures too. So Tucker Carlson also had on John Mearsheimer, who's been talking about the Israel lobby and what Israel's been doing for a long time and Israeli influence on American foreign policy for a long time. Seems like, because they don't have control over the internet and they don't have control over censorship anymore of everybody, the word is getting out. And it's kind of like maybe a dam breaking, actually. So maybe into the American consciousness. So it's going to be really hard for people like Charlie Kirk and stuff to get away with defending these guys. We're looking at potentially like a changing of the debate about Israel. So here's a clip from Tucker Carlson's show where he had John Mearsheimer on. Play that.
So October 7th happens. And what the Israelis see is an excellent opportunity for ethnic cleansing. And they make this clear. In other words, it's an excellent opportunity to go to war in Gaza and drive the Palestinians out of Gaza and solve that demographic problem that they face.
That's such a dark thing, and therefore that's a very strong allegation. On what basis are you making it?
Oh, there's just a huge amount of data that supports this in the Israeli press. They have been perfectly willing to make this argument loudly and clearly. And you want to remember that you had massive ethnic cleansing in 1948 when the state is created. Virtually all of those people in Gaza are descendants of the ethnic cleansing of 1948.
Were kicked out of another place
and sent to Gaza.
Yeah.
By the way, there was another massive ethnic cleansing after the 67 war in the West Bank. So this is the third attempt at a massive ethnic cleansing in Gaza. So this is hardly surprising at all. And in fact, if you go back and read the literature on the creation of Israel, this is all thoroughly documented. Ethnic cleansing was a subject that the Zionists talked about from the get-go, because there was no way they could create a greater Israel without doing massive ethnic cleansing.
So it wasn't really a land without people for a people without land.
Absolutely not.
There you go. That's from Tucker's show. Here he talks about how he was going to get an article published in the Atlantic about the Israel lobby and how the article got killed. So I'll play that too.
I probably shouldn't tell this story, but I'll tell you, we told the editor at the Atlantic as we were going through the process that we thought he was getting cold feet. And he was quite offended by that. And he said to us, just to prove that that wasn't true, he would give us a $10,000 kill fee. That means if they didn't take the article, they'd give us $10,000. So I said to Steve, I remember it very well, that's the fastest $10,000 we ever made. He said, oh, John, you're being too cynical. Anyway, we collected the $10,000.
Did you? He paid you?
Yes. I mean, but what he did.
How ashamed was he when because I'm not going to name him, I know the editor. This is a pretty well-known editor who's just been in magazine journalism for decades and, has a high regard for himself and good reputation and all that stuff. And he's told from somebody else who's more powerful than he is, you can't do this. How embarrassed was he in that conversation?
I had no evidence that he was embarrassed.
Oh, so he has no soul. Okay.
I mean, who knows, what kind of face he had to put on things. Yeah. I don't know what happened inside the Atlantic. I've never been told. But again, he said he'd give us a $10,000 kill fee because he thought the piece was going to go forward. And somebody sat on him and told him that that was not going to happen. I don't know what happened. But I don't want to be too harsh on him because this is the norm.
Yeah.
This was the norm.
He didn't own the magazine.
And so what we did was we put it in the back closet. And I remember Steve and I had a conversation, and I think Steve said to me, this is why we have tenure, so that you can spend 2 years of your life writing something that never gets published, and you're not punished in terms of promotion to tenure, right? But anyway, what then happened is that somebody inside the Atlantic, who was actually involved in the original commissioning of the article, gave a copy to a very prominent academic who had close contacts at the London Review of Books. And that academic, who I knew very well, sent me a note and said that Mary Kay Wilmers, he said, I got a hold of your manuscript. And I sent it to Mary Kay Wilmers at the London Review of Books, and she'd be very interested in publishing it. And so I remember I was in Heidelberg, Germany. I called up Mary Kay, and she published it, thankfully.
There you go. So different times now. Maybe. Definitely the Democrats are definitely jumping on the whole anti-Semite train. The good kind, I mean. Not that we're anti-Semites here, because we're not. Just saying the kind that recognizes like what's going on and where the influence comes from. All right. So that's the news on Israel. I'm not saying we're not anti-Semitic here. We're talking about Israeli influence, and actually the Jewish people think that that land belongs to them. And for some reason, something about their religion or something makes a lot of them not care about the suffering, from what we heard on the podcast that we played earlier. All right, this was big news. There was a trove of documents released today that included this document from July 27th, 2016, during the Trump campaign against Hillary Clinton. This is authorized for publicly release by Chairman Grassley, which is from Leonard Bernardo, who apparently works for George Soros right now. July 27th, 2016, it says, "Hi, HRC approved Julia's idea about Trump and Russian hackers hampering U.S. elections. That should distract people from her own missing email, especially if the affair goes to the Olympic level. The point is making the Russian play a U.S. domestic issue. Say something like a critical infrastructure threat for the election to feel menace, since both POTUS and VPOTUS have acknowledged the fact that IC would speed up searching for evidence that is regrettably still unavailable. However, there seem to be signs GRU penetration. They appear hardly skilled, incompetent, bubbling idiots. In absence of direct evidence, CrowdStrike and Threat Connect will supply the media, and GRU will hopefully carry on to give more facts." So there it is. That's a smoking gun email showing that Hillary Clinton approved the idea of Trump and Russian collusion during the election season of 2016. And I have Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt saying that the press corps isn't covering it. Let's see.
Well, I think a major organization of the national security apparatus, at least here at the White House within the National Security Council, has indeed taken place, and the president entrusts his current CIA director, John Ratcliffe, and our ODNI director, Tulsi Gabbard, to make the necessary changes to ensure classified intelligence, especially that could implement or hurt the national security of our country, does not make its way into the hands of irresponsible actors who want to politicize that intelligence for their own end. Since you brought up the declassification report that was put out by Senator Grassley today, I'm glad you brought it up, because this should be a story every outlet in this room should be covering. This is further evidence that Hillary Clinton approved the Russia hoax against President Trump. Her campaign financed it. Again, she approved it. And the FBI and the CIA were both weaponized to, as our director of CIA has said, accelerate this hoax against then candidate and former President Trump. To answer the heart of your question, the president wants to see justice served, and he trusts the Attorney General and the Department of Justice to implement that justice and hold these people accountable.
There you go. So it seems to be legit this time. I don't know about the other leaks. The other leaks, that one seems like kind of like a smoking gun. but we kind of knew she was behind it in any case. So that's news today. I have a clip from Tulsi Gabbard being asked. It's not that important. Apparently, President Trump is considering pardoning Diddy. Deadline is reporting on that. Apparently, he's thinking about pardoning Diddy. All right, I have news. Apparently, they're going to have to release the Epstein files. Senator Chuck Schumer invokes a century old law called Rule of Five to force the DOJ to release all documents related to Jeffrey Epstein. So apparently this is happening. I don't know. I saw some implications that this is really happening. So here's Schumer talking about it.
Century-old and little-known law known as the Rule of Five to compel the Department of Justice to release the full and complete Epstein files. Under federal law, when any 5 senators on the Homeland Security Committee call on the executive branch must comply. Our request covers all documents, files, evidence, and other materials in possession of the DOJ, the FBI, related to the case of the United States versus Jeffrey Epstein. While protecting the victims' identities can and must be of top importance, the public has a right to know who enabled, knew of, or participated in one of the most heinous sex trafficking operations in history. Let me remind everyone of what's happened in recent months. Donald Trump campaigned on releasing the Epstein files. He broke that promise. In February, FBI Director Kash Patel promised during sworn testimony in his confirmation hearing he would, quote, make sure the American public knows the full weight of what happened. Well, that has yet to happen. A.G. Bondi said in February that his supposed, quote, client list, she said, was sitting on her desk right now to review. And she said that's been a directive by President Trump. 5 months later, we have 0 answers, only more questions.
There you go. So apparently it's going to come out. Here's another theory about it. Here's a theory about Melania Trump apparently being involved from James Carville. Play that, staying on the Epstein topic. So let's see if anything does come out. Here's on the Epstein topic. Let's see.
So I'll turn it back over. I'll just make one point. To me, a key figure in this is Melania. Okay. And I think that's at the bottom of what they don't want to get out, because it was all modeling agencies. Remember, Trump had a modeling agency. Then Epstein got into the modeling agency, and Jean-Luc Bernal, the guy in Paris in the modeling agency, that hung himself. 2 out of the 3 people ended up hanging themselves. There is, I really believe this, Jack. There is a deep, dark secret somewhere underneath all this. I really believe. So I'll turn it back over. I'll just.
There you go. So there he is talking, implicating Melania Trump because of the modeling agencies. Yes, and Jean-Luc Bernal is definitely one of the names. So looks like I haven't gotten any coffees yet. I would read your coffees. Could use your support if you could throw me a bone one of these days. I will. I could really appreciate it. $5 goes a long way. I think I wrapped up the news for today, though. I have some other stuff about. Let me play you this. I've been holding on to this one for a while. Let me play you this about vaccines from RFK Jr. So I'll show you one more thing. All right, let me show you this about food allergies and vaccines.
We don't really know what's causing the peanut allergy epidemic. I hypothesis.
Look at the Israeli data, because I mean it's 1/10 of ours, and basically a very most popular kid snack is a peanut snack, and that's what is generally accepted as the reason.
If you just let me finish, that's a correlation. It doesn't prove causation. So we need good studies, and that is a hypothesis that's a very popular one. There are no allergies in the Amish community in this country, and they eat peanuts any more than other Americans. And, I'll just tell you my own anecdote, and this doesn't prove causation. But I have a son who had severe, deadly anaphylactic peanut allergies. He made 22 emergency room visits before he was 2 years old because he'd go to a birthday party and eat a cake and there was nuts in the cake, or there had been nuts cooked in the pan that made the cake before. And so I paired up with a guy with David Koch, who I was in litigation with at the time, and who had a son who was born exactly the same time as my son and had the same level of peanut allergies. We started a group called the Food Allergy Initiative. We raised $100 million, and we poached the best allergy scientists from all over the world. We brought them to Mount Sinai in New York, and they had a laboratory that I visited where they would induce food allergies and other allergies in rats and feed them different things to try to find out what treated it. And I asked the scientists there, how do you induce an allergy in a rat? And he said, it's formulaic. You take an aluminum adjuvant and inject it into that rat with a protein. If it's a peanut protein, that rat will have a lifetime allergy to peanuts. If it's a dairy protein, he'll have a lifetime allergy to dairy. If it's a latex protein, he'll have a lifetime allergy to latex. That's the same aluminum adjuvant that's in the hepatitis B vaccine. We're giving, and many of those vaccines contain peanut oil excipients. There's a study by two scientists called Mawson and Cowlings, one of them from the University of Mississippi and one of them from Britain. And they looked at the same issue, and they showed that it's not only what you give, what's in the shot when you give that injection, but also what's in the ambient environment at the time. So that if there's a Timothy weed outbreak, at the time you get that injection, they found that you could have a lifetime allergy to Timothy weed. And vaccinated children, according to their study, are 30 times more likely to have allergic rhinitis than unvaccinated children. So we need to look at the aluminum in the vaccines and see if we need to look much closer, and we're doing that today at NIH, to see if that has anything to do with this explosion of allergies that began in 1989, which was the year they expanded the vaccine schedule.
We obviously all the data, wherever the data leads.
There you go. So that's a vaccine conspiracy theory, which of course we disavow, I guess. But yeah, those aluminum adjuvants and vaccines. So then the Amish are healthy. We know the Amish are healthy and they don't get vaccines. They don't follow any of our advice. So thanks, Laurentius. Thanks for the $1.99 super chat. Appreciate it. Yeah, if somebody could drop me a coffee, that'd be great. You can reminder, you can do it anytime, even after the show is over, by going to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil, just so I can eat. And otherwise, I appreciate you guys showing up for the show. We'll try to get everything together for a show tomorrow. It's Thursday. Today, it's the 31st. Tomorrow is going to be August 1st. We got tariffs coming in, so we'll follow that news. We'll follow everything else for you guys. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Good to see everybody. And we'll see you at the next one, all right? For now, that's what it is.